Look at the weather.
It's beautiful here.
Non-stop rain.
Oh, man, it is a blazer out there.
It's cold and it's shivery.
It is cold.
It's really coming down here.
I really enjoy your weather reports.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we're talking weather in a whole new way. From historical events to what's coming up, plus weather news, science, safety, fun facts, and more.
I like where this is going.
This is Weather Weekly. Weather Weekly with Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
It is episode 212 Weather Weekly. Good to be with you. I am meteorologist Marcus Bailey from Wish TV, located in beautiful and frigid Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm excited to be with you here. And we're talking about some bitter cold temperatures. We are in the grasp, very strong grasp of winter here in central Indiana, and looks to continue here for a little while. Got some new things to talk about, and we'll break this down coming up after the break, but gone are a lot of the wind chill advisories and wind chill warnings and extreme cold, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot there, and the Weather Service has kind of combined a lot of these cold weather products, and we are under one of those for early in the week. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this brutal cold that is now going to settle in after we at least got some decent snow melt for parts of last week and into early in the weekend. But now the frigid Arctic Express starts to settle in here for the next few days. Talk about that and see if we see any snow chances. It is the week ahead, January 20th, 2025. That is next on Weather Weekly. It is episode 212 Weather Weekly for the week ahead, January 20th, 2025. I do want to start with where we are alerted at, or I kind of previewed this before the break. Some of these newer alerts. And so for the first time this winter season, and in central Indiana, we do have a cold weather advisory that is in place. So what is that? All right. So again, I kind of have to take you back, and I mentioned this. We used to have wind chill advisories, wind chill warnings, extreme cold, watches, those kind of things. Those have all been kind of eliminated to consolidate, to eliminate some confusion. Because look, cold is cold, right? And so they want to have these different levels of just where the cold is. So you have these cold weather advisories and warnings, that sort of thing. So right now we have the cold weather advisory, which now is in effect early in the week here, depending on when you're listening to this. Basically, it started Sunday night, and so Sunday the 19th, and will continue until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, which is the 22nd. Okay, so basically it's wind chills could get as low as around 20 below. It's all really kind of judged on the timeline or timing of how quickly you could get frostbite if you spend some time outside with exposed skin. All right, if that makes sense there. Ryan Morse has written several articles about this on wishtv.com if you want to take a look there. So yeah, it kind of puts us around 10 to 20 below in terms of the wind chills. So basically, again, the three levels, cold weather advisory, which is what we have, replaces the wind chill advisory. The next upgrade then would be an extreme cold warning. So you go cold weather advisory, extreme cold warning. That then replaces both wind chill warning and extreme cold warning we already had. So it's all been consolidated. And then you also have extreme cold watch. And so basically that will replace the wind chill watch and the extreme cold watch. It all gets consolidated there. Okay. So just basically trying to simplify the process here. There was just a lot of different warnings and all that other kind of stuff. All right. So now all that being said, let's get to the forecast here with the cold weather advisories in place. Let's start with MLK Day on Monday. That is the 20th. Again, you have that cold weather advisory. It's going to be bitter cold. I think we're going to be mainly dry. It's going to be sunny. It's not going to be super, super windy, but look, when you got this Arctic air mass settling in, it doesn't take much of a breeze to tank the wind chills. So we'll have highs into the low teens. I'm going to go around 12 in Indianapolis for the day. But I think wind chills for much of the day are probably going to be between 5 below and 15 below. So dangerous, no exposed skin. It's going to be pretty rough, all right? Heading into Monday night, again, it's going to be rough, partly cloudy, light wind. So you're not going to get a big separation of wind chill, thankfully. But lows will be close to 0. Wind chills maybe around 5, 10 below. Tuesday, the 21st. Again, sunny and cold. Probably going to be the coldest day that we have here in the extended for sure. This is when we're going to be in the core of things. So Tuesday night is going to be the worst 24-hour stretch for the frigid temperatures. Mostly sunny and cold for the day on Tuesday. A high only of 8 here in Indianapolis, and I've got us with a low of 4 below. Wind chills. Again, it's not going to be super windy, mainly calm, thankfully, but I do think even if you get a light breeze, you're going to tank the wind chills probably anywhere between 5 to 15 below 0. All right? Now, once we get into, where are we? Wednesday. You get on the back end of this Arctic high pressure system, and that should allow for, the coldest of the air to move east of us. And we'll kind of warm things up a bit. It is going to be kind of a struggle to get there. We're still going to be well below average. Normal high for the end of January, where we're at now, is usually in the mid-30s. We're still going to be running anywhere between 10 to 15 degrees below average. Mostly sunny on Wednesday with highs into the low 20s. Wednesday night then, overnight lows cold, but not as frigid. Probably into the mid-teens. All right. Thursday, we're getting a little bit better. Partly sunny, a high of 32. And Thursday night, right around 17. Friday, we are partly cloudy, a high near 30, and an overnight low of 20. And Saturday, then, we actually start to get a bit of a warm-up coming our way with mostly sunny skies to start off the weekend. Highs into the mid and upper 30s, which is actually much closer to average. Now, if you want to go beyond that, there is still a sign of continued below average temperatures basically through the end of the month here. Just kind of perusing the national blend of models. I've mentioned that a few times here. On where we are headed in Indianapolis beyond next weekend, it does get closer to normal. Okay? Looks like I mentioned Saturday, 37. This is the national blend output. 38 Sunday, 37 for a high next Monday, the 27th. Tuesday, 37. 35 on Wednesday. That's as far out as we go. And just looking at some of the projections in terms of the ensembles, we've been getting kind of these blasts of really, really cold temperatures, and then followed by kind of some punches of snow here and there. Obviously, right now is going to be the biggest blast of cold air, but it does modify a little bit. I mean, there are some hints I just mentioned going into next week that we get a bit of a warm-up, but, I'm seeing some signs from a couple models that we get another, I'd say, more glancing blow of cold Canadian air as we get kind of to the tail end of next week. I do see some signals that we might see some warmer temperatures for the start of February. All right, so we will see. Both of our kind of longer range models are advertising that. So that would be a welcome change if we can head into February. And again, I will say this. I have mentioned it many times because I am an avid golfer. This time of year is a little rough for a guy like me because I'm not really getting out and doing much, right? Last year, I looked at my golf app. And I know every year's different, but I did golf 4 times last year. 4. So it can happen. We didn't have nearly as much snow, obviously, on the ground, but I'm holding out hope, right? We'll flip the page, hopefully, sometime in the near future, but it's definitely not going to be this week, so make sure you're taking precaution. And all jokes aside, it is going to be dangerously cold, especially kind of the first 3 days of this upcoming week. And be sure to check in on delays. I'm certain that there will probably, I know a lot of kiddos are out of school Monday for the MLK holiday, but Tuesday I think has a pretty good chance of having a lot of delays. Wednesday morning, we might have some, okay, because of the cold. So just make sure you're staying tuned for that. All right, we'll put our wraps on this here coming up next here on Weather Week. All right, let's do some January stats, shall we? We have for the month, snowfall. It's been a big one this month, 11.7 inches. That puts us on the plus side of 6.4. 6.4 for the month. That is to date. Last year, this time we only had 3 inches of snow. Since December 1st, 12.6 puts us on the plus side of nearly an inch. And since July 1st, 15.9 total for the snow season. We are on the plus side of 3.3. We've only last year had 3.1 inches of snowfall. In terms of liquid equivalent precipitation, for the month we are at 1.09. That is down 0.88 inches since December 1st. For the winter, 5.82. That actually puts us on the plus side of just shy of 1 inch. Let's do a little climate prediction center forecasting. I kind of already hinted to this a little bit. The 8 to 14 day actually is advertising that we will be below average, but it's not a super strong signal. So there's not a lot of certainty. That would take us into February 1st, which, I mean, look, a lot of next week, which will be the last week of, January, looks chilly. All right. Not super, super cold, but you're not going to be getting a warming trend anytime soon there in the next couple of weeks. But I think once you get beyond February, you do start to see some hints of warming up. So that takes us only to February 1st. There is a slight signal maybe for some above average precipitation going into next week. Not going to see a ton this week here. I did want to mention before we kind of move on, they do have, well, I'll mention this first. Let's go to the February outlook. This was issued last week. The monthly outlook, not a real strong signal either way for above or below average temperatures, but there is a very strong signal for above average precipitation across much of the Midwest, including Indiana, really in the heart of that. Very high probability of that. Okay, so something to look for. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a lot of rain or snow. I mean, it could be both. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Did want to mention, in terms of this week, because obviously it's going to be pretty quiet outside of the cold, precip-wise. Midweek will be interesting for those of you that are either fascinated by the weather, which I would assume that you are if you're listening to this podcast. And I am a Gulf Coast lover. Love going down there for spring break. I'm a big Gulf Shores, Dolphin Island fan. They potentially could be seeing snow, believe it or not, coming up this week. Looks like a system in midweek, Wednesday, potentially. This system's going so far south that it could totally miss like northern Alabama, Atlanta, and northern Georgia, and legit start snowing on the beaches of the Gulf Shores area. Just to put it in perspective, the last time some of these cities along the Gulf Coast had actually received an inch of snow, New Orleans, New Year's Eve of 1963. Same thing for Mobile, so that would put that in the realm of Gulf Shores area. Montgomery, Alabama, so that's a little bit north, all right? It does make a difference. February 12th of 2010, Pensacola, January 28th of 2014, and Houston, February 15th of 2021. So it wasn't that long ago, but yeah. Interesting stats there. And it will be interesting to watch how that all plays out. That'll be a big snowmaker, I think, down for the South. And obviously, just even a little bit of snow can be crippling that far south in our country. So stay tuned to that if you're a weather watcher there. Might be real interesting. But it does show how deep this cold air is really plunging across much of the Midwest. All right. Okay, that'll do it for me. Thanks for checking in on this podcast. If you have any comments you'd like to pass along, you can shoot me an email anytime. Marcus.bailey@wishtv.com. I'm also on social media. Marcus Bailey Weather is what you search for on Facebook, and then at Marcus Bailey for Instagram and X. So you can check me out on those platforms and shoot me messages as well. Of course, you can get our forecast 24 hours a day on our website, wishtv.com/weather. And of course, you can catch my forecast on the TV side locally in Central Indiana, Channel 8, Wish TV, Monday through Friday, starting at 4 a.m., goes until 10 a.m. Hope to see you there. While you're here, make sure to check out all the other great podcasts, all part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Have a wonderful week. We will talk to you soon, and God bless.
Discover more from Storm Track 8 Weather and Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.